Hi, my name is Imani Ellis, and I'm the founder of the Creative Collective NYC and Vice President of Communications at NBCUniversal. Happy Women's HERStory Month. I really was not looking to start something. I was looking to stop something. And so I was going to conferences and different networking events, and it just didn't really feel like they were curated for creatives of color. So I invited some friends over to my Harlem apartment, 1-bedroom Harlem apartment, and we called it the Creative Collective. We talked about resources that we needed, just what we were going through in everyday life. We kept having those meetings month to month, and that became the Creative Collective. We've now grown to a community of over 100,000 creatives. And we also created CultureCon, which is a first of its kind conference really for creatives of color to create brave spaces where you can network, learn, grow, and connect with other creatives across a ton of different disciplines. I really thought the Creative Collective was going to remain super small. I'm the daughter of 2 preachers, so we went to Bible study every single Wednesday. And in my mind, I thought it would stay like Bible study size, but I think it just goes to show, when something really resonates with people, they want to keep coming. And so we kept growing. So I never could have foreseen that the Creative Collective or CultureCon would get as massive as it's gotten. I think sometimes it still surprises me when I walk into one of the rooms we've curated and I'm like, this is a lot of people in the best way, It's really interesting because Atlanta really feels like a homecoming. So I was raised in the South. I was raised in Atlanta, Alabama, Florida. And so bringing that energy of CultureCon back to where I grew up really feels so very special. And then LA is just such a vibe. We were able to realize during CultureCon at home that we have a huge community on the West Coast. And so super excited to also bring that energy over to our friends in Los Angeles as well. It was such a beautiful moment. NBC is the only job I've ever had. So I started literally as a page, doing rotations, getting coffee, booking talent cars, and I was able to grow throughout the team. I had an incredible boss. I have an incredible boss, Jen Geyser, who has been such a mentor to me. And I think mentorship is so important because you have to have someone who can see potential in you, who can stretch you and grow you and challenge you so that you're ready for the next level. And so, for me, I really love my job. I'm doing so much critical thinking. It's like a puzzle every day, trying to figure out how to problem solve. And I'm someone who's very curious. I don't like to be bored. And so the job is so exciting. Sometimes I can't believe it's a job because we're working in television. Every day is different. We're working with talent and reporters and bookers and executives. And I think a big part of, being able to grow at that company was just remaining true to myself. So I am a Southerner. I say y'all, I say thank you. Sometimes I even say yes, ma'am. But all of that is a part of my value system and my characteristics. And so for anyone, I think, who is in a corporate role and feels like they have to dim their light, I will say, you do need to learn the culture of where you're working and understand if it's a fit for you. But in the same breath, you should also bring your full self to work. So I remember coming to work and being like, are we reading the Shade Room? I read the Shade Room every day. That's a part of who I am. And so I didn't want to hide those individual parts of who I am. And I think it actually was able to help me grow at the company. I love that question because if I'm being honest with you, I did see this for myself. I did not know if it would happen, but I saw it for myself. And so even when I was a page or a coordinator or an assistant, I was always learning and I was always thinking, if when I get in a position of leadership, here's how I'm going to do things. I'm really going to, also encourage my team and really allow them to understand which problems are level 5, which problems are level 10. Every problem cannot be a level 10. You can't live like that. And so I think for me, being able to grow through the ranks, I was both able to kind of be very present and get the work done in my current position. But I also did have dreams of growing. And, a lot of us do have dreams. And I think it's more than just dreaming, right? Of course, it's the execution. But I also very much believe that God had such a hand in my destiny and that he was able to put the right pieces in the right places. But I used to listen to like Jay-Z on my way to work, and I would just see it. I really could see it as clear as I can see you right now. And if I was able to, tell younger Imani, I would just say, sis, I promise the work is worth it. Because sometimes when you're in the valleys, it does not feel like you will ever get out of the valley. It feels like you're going to be there forever. But it doesn't last forever, the good times or the bad times. That's such a great question. My mom took me to New York when I was in 6th grade, and I had never seen anything like that in my life. I just was like, this is where I have to live. I have to work in television. And I chose television because I watched a lot of television. I think I talk to a lot of, interns and students who are so overwhelmed, they don't know where to start. And I always suggest just make a list of things that you actually like things that you would do if you weren't even getting paid for it. And for me, it was watching TV. I love TV. And so I was like, I want to work in TV, but I had no experience, 0 experience. And when I looked around, everyone else had been doing internships since they were 5 years old. And so I went back to Vanderbilt and I went to the Career Center and I said, I need some experience. The only experience I had was working at Abercrombie in high school, like selling jeans. It was not going to get me a job at NBC. And so with the Career Center's help, I was able to do some local internships. So I interned, at some local PR agencies and local talent agencies and did a lot of informational. So I would take agents out for coffee. I would go with like a bunch of questions and ask them a ton of questions until I got my first internship in New York, which was at Nickelodeon. So I worked in the talent department, and at the time, we were looking for a new Dora the Explorer voice. The current Dora the Explorer was going through puberty, and her voice was too deep. So I was responsible for organizing their headshots and getting them in line. And every internship that I ever had, I treated it like it was a salaried full-time position. So I was always present, always there. I was always present, always there. And I really just do think that kind of consistent execution over time was able to really help me, because I really do believe, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so I always treated it kind of like it was a full-time position. So it was Nickelodeon, and then I went to Creative Artist Agency. I thought I wanted to be an agent. And then I went to Universal Music Group. I thought I wanted to be a talent booker. And then I went to ESPN. I thought I wanted to work in sports because I ran track. And then finally, all of those experiences landed me at NBCUniversal. Oh gosh, I love Black women. First and foremost, my mom and my sisters. I have 2 sisters, my mom and my dad. He's not a woman, but I love him. Super inspiring. I'm also very inspired by Oprah. I love that she is always reinventing herself, always creating paths that she hasn't seen before. I think a lot of people are very surprised that I have like a community organization and also work in corporate America. But I just believe that you can live a full life. I don't think that you have to only be one version of yourself. So I love Oprah. I love Beyonce and her work ethic. I just think it's incredible. I also am really inspired by a lot of my friends. So like Claudia Cater is someone who I really look up to. She heads up partnerships at Clubhouse, and she's just incredible. And yeah. So one of my favorite quotes by a woman is, "At first glance, it might appear too hard. Look again, always look again." And that's by Mary Ann Ratchmacher. And I love that quote because I think, again, when you look at obstacles, it really can seem daunting. Like, I cannot do this. I do not have enough endurance or stamina or bravery to do this. And I think sometimes just like taking a break, walking away, getting some perspective, and coming back, you actually really can do it, and even more than that. So I love that quote. Ooh, you know, I used to be a 5-year person. I'm not kidding. I had my whole life planned out when I was 21 years old, what I would be doing when I was 26 years old. It was pretty accurate on the professional front. Creative Collective, I did not see coming, so that was definitely not in any of my plans. But I think in 5 years, to be honest, I don't know, because everything I've dreamed of has already happened. So at this point, God's just having fun. I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. I really want to stay curious. I want to keep walking in my purpose, and I want to keep encouraging people and collaborating with people. So I don't really have a specific plan, but I think sometimes, you know, you say your plans and God laughs. So my goal is for the next 5 years to be bigger and more abundant than I could ever imagine. I guess the piece of advice I would give myself is to not worry so much. You know, a little bit of worrying, I think, can make you detail-oriented and make sure things aren't falling through the cracks. But too much worrying kind of takes away the joy of the present. So I would say chill out just a little bit. 90% of the things you're worrying about are not even going to happen. And then the advice I would give to anyone who's aspiring to kind of really fulfill their dreams is really to write down your vision and make it plain. I think sometimes we're so eager to get outside of ourselves and start doing, but we aren't spending enough time with ourselves to understand what our North Star even is. So, you know, on a quiet afternoon, take a white piece of paper and just write down what brings you joy, what you'd like to accomplish, what you want to do. I think it's a lot easier to go out into the world with a plan when you've kind of spent some time with yourself to make a plan.